Hello and welcome to the official Doctor Who podcast. I am one of your hosts, Tyrell Charles.
And I am your other host, Krystina Arielle.
Woo! And this is the podcast where we're talking all things Doctor Who for fans to come and talk and nerd out as much as we so please.
And we do plan to nerd out as much as we please.
Because we're super fans and we're not going to hide it.
And if you're new to Who, welcome to you too. This is a podcast for everyone. If you just want to see people be extremely passionate and excited about something that they genuinely love and you want to get on that love too, that's what we're here for.
Yes, today we're going to be talking all things Christmas specials, specifically because we're building up to Joy to the World, written by the legend Steven Moffat, who is joining us this very episode.
We were at a Doctor Who convention in Australia and I saw they had a Doctor Who pub quiz going on. And I said, look, the three of us, let's go and join in the Doctor Who pub quiz because we are bound to win.
We're talking all things Christmas this episode, and I feel like we should actually first kind of get to know each other, Krystina, and kind of align our Doctor Who love. We were very careful to not get too talkative about what we love about Doctor Who until this podcast started because I wanted everyone to kind of hear this straight from our mouths. So I want to start with you, Krystina. Doctor Who at Christmas. From your perspective, especially you as an American Doctor Who fan, I know my British fans were probably all curious about this. What's your relationship with Doctor Who at Christmas?
I watch the Doctor Who Christmas specials every year. I have a particular affinity for A Christmas Carol. A Christmas Carol is one of my favorites. And it's not just because of the vibe of Christmas. And yes, we get used to being terrified at Christmas with Doctor Who. But there was something so beautiful in this episode to me. And yes, we know the traditional story of A Christmas Carol, and there's going to be a lesson learned. But there's one moment where the Doctor turns around and he says, in 900 years, I've never met anyone who wasn't important before. And that changed. It was like finding your mantra and being like, oh, this is what I believe in. Like, this is what my heart feels. And there's something about that and Christmas and the beauty of just hope when all seems completely lost. There's so many times where everything seems lost, but even in the Christmas specials where it's terrifying and there's Santa Claus coming after you with the trumpet and giant eyes in the sky and madness happening all over, or cruise liners going through space with Kylie Minogue, things are still going to be okay. I think that's the joy of having it at Christmas, is no matter how scary it is, there's always some kind of hope.
I love that.
That's important.
That was a very beautiful take on the Christmas Carol episode, first of all, and a great take on Doctor Who as a whole. Thank you for sharing that. I personally think that the Christmas episodes, especially A Christmas Carol, really sum up the vibe of Doctor Who in general. Like I find them to be quintessential episodes of Doctor Who. Like you can kind of watch any of them and know the following season you watch after that, the tone is set. Because you're right, it's that wholesome energy of adventure and fun and love and insanity mixed with there is a fear, there is the will the bad guys win, there is the do sad and heartbreaking things happen. It's a mixture of all of that, but at the end of the day there is the hope that the Doctor continues, he keeps traveling, we keep going on the next adventure. A Christmas Carol tells that story beautifully, and I agree. I think it's one of my favorites too. Is that your first experience of Christmas with the Doctor?
It's not, but it's the one that affected me the most. Mm-hmm. I think it was just so beautiful. The music, the Centurion, and the kissogram. There's something about bringing all of those things together. And Matt Smith as a Doctor is fantastic. I've set it up in my home that everyone has a separate Doctor. Everyone has a different Doctor. I introduced my son. His Doctor is Shooty, and he's very specific about it. My Doctor is 10, obviously. And my daughter, I introduced her to Matt Smith. And there's this thing last night. She's sitting at the edge of the bed, and it's the moment where he steps through the face where the Atraxi come. And it was the same moment that I completely bought in on Matt Smith as the Doctor. Because at first you're like, I don't know necessarily how I feel about this because I love David Tennant so much. Am I ready to move on? Am I in an emotional place to be in this relationship with this new Doctor right now? And then he goes, asks who I am, and he steps his face through David Tennant's, and he says it. The whole episode, he hasn't been saying like, oh, I'm the doctor, I'm the doctor. He steps through and he says, hello, I'm the doctor. In other words, run. And it is just so, and I'm like, this is the doctor. Everyone has like that moment.
Yes.
Everyone has that moment where they're like, oh, like this is a doctor. And so like I saw her face where she goes, and I'm like, well,
Yeah.
11's her doctor. And
Yeah, all you need is that speech. All you need is that speech. And I've got goosebumps as you say this to me, genuinely. That speech says it all, sums everything up. Like 10 had his moment as well when he was taking on the Sycorax, and you know, he throws was it an orange or an apple? And like basically assassinates
yeah, it's a whole
leader.
like Lion King homage.
Everyone has that sort of like I am the doctor moment, and whichever your first of that is, I feel like sums up who your doctor becomes. So yeah, your daughter, she's locked in with Matt Smith. I don't think that's changing. I love that.
Well, she's 2. You never know. We could go from here, but you got to start him young.
That's true. That's true.
Indoctrinate him, if you will.
Very good. Very good. I think we're going to be very good friends, Krystina. I love that. Now, bringing it back to joy and Christmas, I'm so excited for this new episode. What do you think we're going to get from it? What kind of tone are you expecting?
I am so excited just to see Shooty have somebody like meet his mad, like, you know, sorry.
No,
you know the saying, match my energy? There's something about Nicola Coplin and Shooty that is just that same level of, oh, this is chaotic joy.
Yes.
This is chaotic, beautiful joy. And I want to see them together and playing off each other. And there has to be something so, like, there's something so special about her already. And I'm really looking forward to seeing that magic and how it's brought to the screen. I'm so excited about it.
Yeah, I mean,
what are you most excited about?
I'm most excited to see Shooty and his like chemistry and interaction with Nicola, because when I heard she was coming in. Similarly, I know Nicola's performing to be very big, very energetic, very joyful, for lack of a better word. And the most defining trait so far to me of Shooty's doctor, outside of, you know, how empathetic he is that he is kind of like a child that's just like playful and everything is fun and exciting and new to him. And it kind of gives me similar energy to when you first had the 4th Doctor, when you first had the 11th Doctor, where they feel like just overgrown kids. And I think a Christmas episode, we saw it last time, right, with the goblins, he did feel like a little kid that's just like excited to see everything and excited to make a new best friend. And I truly think we're going to get that type of energy with the Doctor and Joy. So their dynamic for sure. And I'm wondering if this is going to be one of those like standalone Christmas episodes that just feel like a nice night, like a tight, neat story that anyone can watch and enjoy, which most of them are, or if this is going to be, you know, a sort of backdoor entry into what we're going to be seeing in the next season of Doctor Who. Like, are we going to be getting a lot more of Anita Dobson, Mrs. Flood? I'm so curious as to whatever the heck she's up to.
What is her deal?
What is her deal? Is she good? Is she evil? What has she got planning? I'm so curious.
Can we talk about the outfits really quick?
The outfits are consistently like his most iconic statement throughout the series. There's not one where you're like, no, I'm not a fan of that one. Every single one, from the most casual to the most flamboyant, was just on point every single time.
Tailored looks, just incredible. Pulls them off. I feel every time, like they need to do like they did in the Maestro episode every time, where they're just like the Devil's Cord when they come down out of the TARDIS. I want a fashion show every single episode. I want you to stunt.
Yes, that like one take where like it goes up and they go through one door and they just come out and he's got like the full on fro. I love it. Oh my God, genius.
Oh, also, shout out to the Doctor Who wig team. Props to you. You deserve your flowers. As a former cosmetology student, a bad wig will take me out of the moment so quickly. And you did what you did. You deserve your flowers because it was seamless, especially a fro wig that you make. The dedication to the texture, the detail. These things are important to me, and you are giving those to me. You are giving me everything I want.
In that same breath, just from one black man talking about another, shout out to whoever does Shooty's haircuts every single episode beforehand. This isn't care that maybe goes into a lot of other black people on TV, but Shooty will be damned if it didn't go into his. That fade was on point every single time. Even if he was wearing an afro, there was everything was shaped. He was very aware of the hairstyling every single time. Yes, he's got a short fade, but they made sure that was consistently kept up with. So in that same breath, love the attention to it. I loved Shooty so much. I loved him from the giggle, to be honest, but seeing him in a full episode on Christmas, truly, you said it perfectly. He's a doctor that is so perfectly in touch with his emotions, and I think from a very surface level look, you look at his entire series, even on Christmas, and say, oh, this is a doctor that's like very okay being sad, and he is. He's very happy to shed a tear about anything that touches him or annoys him emotionally, whether it was his anger on Dot and Bubble or his sadness during the Rogue episode and his willingness to just let those tears flow. I think this is a doctor, I think Shooty does this perfectly. He's a doctor that doesn't just let the sadness in, he lets any of the emotions in. If there's one way to describe him, is that his heart is open. Whether that's good or bad, he's let that thing open and he does not shut it.
And you know what's funny to me is like your interpretation of that is like he was willing to let his anger out. So much of that reaction in that episode specifically came across as hurt to me. And I think that we just like don't get to see that so often. We're not seeing, like, we've watched the Doctor. Listen, I love the Doctor. I love him so much. But with everything in me, go to therapy. I don't know how you go to therapy in time and space, but you know too many historical figures. You're hanging out with Freud and you couldn't take 30 minutes? 30 minutes?
Yeah.
But I want to see the Doctor process emotion. I want to see the Doctor feel.
And you know what? That episode where he does let himself feel, like with Dot and Bubble, and I'll bring this back to Christmas as well, the Dot and Bubble moment specifically, I do want to talk to the fact that this is our first black Doctor. There is an importance to that for us in the audience, but I think there is a very unique importance to that for the Doctor himself, because the Doctor up until this point, whether you want to call it thousands or billions, depending on your point of view, of years being alive, has never been a black man before that we know. I guess technically there've been a black girl before, but then she regenerated, so that's confusing. But he's never experienced that. He has flown through time and space with the benefit of white privilege, and to see him react to that with not just anger, but you're right, it was hurt at the fact that, oh man, this is a thing that can happen. Yeah, it can happen to me, but damn, this is a thing that can just happen and I can't change it. I can't do anything about it. I have all the power in the world. I can't change how other people think at the end of the day. And I think that was portrayed really beautifully. For me, as a black man watching my first black doctor, first black male doctor, for the first time, seeing Black Boy Joy on screen is like the most like
the dance
touching thing. That dance always comes back as like, oh, okay, this is the kind of doctor we've got. And it was clear from the giggle as well. He's ready to play, ready to throw a ball. But just in that Christmas episode, all of the wholesome and joyful energy of Christmas funneled into one human being, and that was Ncuti Gatwa. That will stay in my mind forever. Love it. Really beautiful moment as a Doctor Who fan.
It is. And just the hug and the giggle, the joy on the dance floor. I love to watch Ncuti do anything. He's my doctor now. He's my kin. And now it's time to introduce our distinguished guest through the power of the Subwave Network, the man who gave us fish fingers and custard, attack eyebrows, and this Christmas, joy to the world, Steven Moffat.
Hello.
Welcome, Steven.
How are you? Thank you.
Steven, it is absolutely an honor to be here speaking with you about the show that we all love so much. What's your first memory of Doctor Who at Christmas?
Doctor Who at Christmas? Well, no, they always used to do, or they sometimes used to do a Christmas Doctor Who repeat. So I'd always get hold of the double radio times and see if there was going to be what they used to call a complete adventure in one program. And I remember they did Genesis of the Daleks one year. So that's my first memory of Doctor Who at Christmas, even though it wasn't actually on Christmas Day.
I feel like reruns are a common thing when it comes to Doctor Who around Christmas. We like to believe everyone's going to watch it like bang on Christmas Day, and I should hope they do. But I mean, Boxing Day tends to be the big discussion point afterwards, whether you watched it on the day on iPlayer or what have you. That rerun's going to come one way or the other.
Yeah, it's tough now. Yes, everybody watches later. I mean, really, a lot of people. I don't. At least on Christmas Day, I will watch it go out live because we've got friends coming around and they watch the show. So I always have to try and stay awake during it. It looks bad if I fall asleep.
For your own episodes as well?
Well, particularly, I mean, generally speaking, I wouldn't have friends around watching it. And by that time on a Christmas Day, I find Christmas Day exhausting. I love it, but I'm always exhausted. And by the time I've had the, a boozy Christmas lunch, I'm ready to nod off. And then they put Doctor Who on. I think it looks really bad if I fall asleep during this. So I'll stay away. Even tougher, given that if it's one of mine, then I've seen it, a dozen times already. So, it's harder.
There's not a little part of you that wants to watch their reactions, kind of when you're showing someone something that you're like, this is my favorite show. And there's a part where you know that you put a lot into the writing of it and you want to see if the gag lands.
Well, yeah, but it's the worst thing you can do to a human being is sit and stare at them while they watch a TV show. That way they know a joke's coming. If my head swivels around like a Dalek eye stalk and bores into them, they know something is going to happen and they get very self-conscious. When I finish a script and give it to my wife to read, she will just go as far away from me as possible in case I stand over her and say, "Have you laughed yet? If you laugh, tell me what page you're on." So no, I don't do that. I mean, obviously, I'm very, very interested, and I'm trying to be aware of where people are getting bored or restive, or where people are getting excited, where they're laughing or where they're jumping. But I try not to make that obvious.
Well, speaking of Christmas anyway, I wanted to take you back to the first time you wrote a Christmas special for Doctor Who. Can you think back, how was it approaching that? How was it approaching Doctor Who specifically in a Christmas-themed episode?
Well, I'd seen several by then, because Russell had done 4 or 5 by then, So taking over and doing the first one that I was going to do, I already knew what I wanted to do. I had thought of it years ago. I wanted to do a Christmas Carol and just call it a Christmas Carol and use time travel and the Doctor for the ghosts. I knew I wanted to do that. So I was well set up for that one.
I love that. And did you feel any pressure coming to it? As you say, Russell did like several iconic ones prior. Did you feel a pressure to kind of live up to a sort of expectation?
I suppose you always do. I mean, I never really thought about it. I mean, bizarrely enough, I didn't really think about it that year all that much. Because, you've got this amazing job, this job of a lifetime, and you've really just got to concentrate on that. And how lucky you are to be there, even if you only last for 1 year. I mean, sometimes I'd be aware of the pressure. I was probably more aware of the pressure around Day of the Doctor. And I was aware of the pressure around writing the 11th Hour, because that was the make or break one. Can it survive without David and Russell? That was I mean, the first Christmas one, I think I thought I had a handle on that. So I was pretty excited about it, actually.
Now, with regard to that, quickly, as we mentioned a little earlier, A Christmas Carol is my favorite Doctor Who Christmas special. And we spoke about
all downhill since then.
No, of course not. And especially, listen, when we're talking about the 11th hour, the moment he steps through David Tennant's face is an exceptionally powerful moment.
Yeah.
But there's a line that has always stuck with me and is indicative to me of Doctor Who, which was, "In 900 years, I've never met anyone who wasn't important before." Mm-hmm. And I guess I wonder how important that was to you with this story to convey that message.
I certainly wasn't sitting there thinking in terms of messages I was going to convey to people. Who the hell wants messages from me? No one remotely sane would want a message from me. Oh, come on, what am I going to tell you about life? I'm a Doctor Who showrunner. I don't know how to get home unless someone books me a car. You do not want messages. You don't want the road to utopia from me unless someone's booked me a train ride. I don't know where it is. So I don't think of messages, but it's a good Doctor line. And I think it probably just came out of him saying, "Nobody important." And I was trying to work out, you're just trying to think, what does the Doctor say to that? And he doesn't, a more aggressive front foot Capaldi style Doctor would deck him or say something really, really mean to him. But the Matt Smith gentle, or seemingly gentle, but with steel underneath Doctor, would say something slightly more sort of Mickey taking. just sort of undermine him. I never met anyone unimportant before. That was just the right line in the right moment.
And how do you approach? I mean, you got the pleasure of working across two different doctors, both with very different tones, and like Matt and Peter had very different tones and approaches to how they gave their doctor. You got a couple Christmas specials out of both of them. How do you approach how they sort of tackle the Christmas episode? Capaldi in particular, he's much more stern, much more dark and gruff doctor compared to, I guess, Matt Smith. Like Eleven's quite childish whimsy that very much fits into the spirit of Christmas. How do you sort of isolate the difference tackling a Christmas episode? Because it is generally expected to be quite a light, wholesome adventure.
It is light and wholesome, but I don't think that's quite true of all the Christmas specials. Some of them are quite tough.
It's true. Time with the Doctor got tears from me, I'll tell you that now.
Yeah. And A Christmas Carol, she's going to die at the end of that Christmas day. There's no attempt, the Doctor makes no attempt to cure her. You know, it's as Mark Gatiss always says, Christmas stories should be sad. Christmas stories should be spooky. It's not just a sort of confection. You know, it's got to be a proper meaty story. In terms of the different Doctors, they're never as different as you think. They just come out sounding different because different actors emphasize different elements. With Matt, you've got the sweet daffy Doctor who's anything but sweet and daffy, who can turn really cold when he wants to. And with Capaldi, you've got the one who's front-footing the idea that he's stern and dangerous, but he's an absolute pushover in other respects. You know, I don't think I've ever written a more sentimental line or a more, well, sentimental is the wrong word, a more sort of romantic line, a more emotional line than when he says to Clara, "Did you think I care for you so little?" That betraying me would make a difference. You know, I mean, he's never not an emotional man. He hides or amplifies that as suits his new face. I really just do think the Doctor wakes up, looks at his face in the mirror, and says, "Well, I'm going to work the eyebrows." or look, I'm really cool and sexy now. I'm going to be that. I'll go and be cool and sexy. That'll be brilliant. You know, he just maximizes what he's got. But to him, it's like putting on a new suit of clothes. It's not as big a deal as the rest of us waking up and finding we've got a new face.
Now, when you're writing a Christmas special, do you prefer a standalone story or a big story-driven regeneration type episode?
Well, I was talking about this earlier to Russell. Obviously, practically, you really should be doing a standalone, easy access Doctor Who episode, not arc driven, because you're inviting in members of the audience who don't normally watch it, and this will be probably the highest rated episode of the year. So you really aren't just appealing to the hardcore fan base. But the way these things work out, we've so often had to do the regeneration or the aftermath of the regeneration on Christmas Day, so you're hardwired to the continuity of the show. The very first Christmas special Russell did, the Christmas Invasion, is all about why Christopher Eccleston isn't in it anymore. You know, so it's been a weird combo. I think, you know, the Church on Ruby Road was a rare example of being able to say, we can just introduce him to a new audience and not worry about all the lore because it's not involved in this one. So that's a good jumping on point. The Church on Ruby Road. You'd always want Christmas to be that, but it's very often can't be. Sometimes you're killing a children's favorite on Christmas Day, offing Matt Smith or Capaldi or someone on Christmas Day, because that's just the practicality of the way the series runs.
It's funny you say that, because I remember specifically yelling to the TV screen, sat next to my cousin on Christmas Day, watching Matt Smith regenerate on that final speech, and I'm sure I said specifically, "I'll never forgive you, Steven," because I was weeping. I have since forgiven you, of course. I was weeping genuinely.
I don't see why I wasn't in the firing line. I mean, Matt Smith chose to leave. I didn't kick him out. Any Doctor's out.
No, but not so much for him leaving, but just for like the powerfulness of that final speech. I was like, wow, like it was a bittersweet, "I'll never forgive you."
I'll always remember when the Doctor was me.
Yeah.
Oh, beautiful. So beautiful.
Well, speaking of that, Steven, What was your favorite Christmas special? It doesn't necessarily have to be yours. It could be something from Russell's era. But what was your favorite?
I tend to really like the Christmas specials. I really adored the very first one that Russell did, the Christmas Invasion, because it hadn't been done before. But there were two reasons. One, we hadn't actually had a proper Christmas-orientated episode before. I was fascinated to see how that worked, and I loved it. I loved how he used the iconography of Christmas. But perhaps more importantly, this was the test case for Doctor Who. It had been a hit, and it had lost its lead actor. Could we pull off Regeneration again? You know, Chris had been a huge hit as the Doctor, and he was gone. And to actually say, no, we're just going to replace him after, 13 episodes, there's going to be a new guy. David Tennant was not a big star. Not a big star then at all. Far less well-known than Chris. So seeing that work, seeing that play out was such a relief that I've got hugely fond memories of that one. In terms of my own ones, I love A Christmas Carol. I think that's the sort of definitive one from me. I think that's probably the one that I'd waited a lifetime to do. But I also have a tremendous fondness for The Husbands of River Song because I think the moment when River Song figures out that the man standing next to her is the Doctor, I think is one of the nicest scenes I've written. And I thought they played it beautifully. So among those ones, but I tend to like the Christmas specials. I do. I like Christmas itself, and I like Doctor Who. So a Christmas special of Doctor Who is ideal for me.
And just following up on Krystina's question from before, just because it's a curiosity that came into my mind, and I'm aware that there's probably 7 people watching as I ask this question. Stan, you said standalone stories versus the big continuity ones.
Yeah.
Joy to the Worlds, would you say it leans more standalone, or are we getting, our foot stuck into the continuity?
It works pretty well as a standalone. You could watch that. I think it expects you to know who the Doctor is and what the Doctor is. But just about everybody in the known world does. It's almost irrelevant to introduce him that. But it does fit into his timeline. It does fit into his timeline because one thing I feel very strongly about, I think Russell feels very strongly about it too, is he has to have a reaction to losing a friend, right? So he's just lost Ruby from his life or from his regular life. So that has to play in. If we just play it as, I've lost one mate, well, she'll do, then that's not going to work. Not for the Doctor. It would feel emotionally false and as if you just thought they were interchangeable characters. So that feeds into the episode. As I think Russell's already said, there's an element of this which is the Doctor alone, which he's not supposed to be. We've had that idea often in Doctor Who that the Doctor should not travel alone. It's not safe for anyone if he does. And he's not quite as... He doesn't even manage his normal, rather unimpressive level of sanity if he's on his own. He needs the wave guides of another human, of a human being there to sort him out a bit. So that's in there. But generally speaking, I would say you could watch this one and catch up with it very easily. But it does assume you know who the Doctor is.
And I think that's fascinating because I always think about the Doctor in the sense of we need this alien to remind us of our humanity sometimes, but we also forget that the Doctor needs a human to remind him that humanity is a thing and how powerful that is.
I mean, he's not on a mission to remind us of our humanity. He's not a visiting saint. He's not an angel descended among us to sort out our problems. He's a joyrider and a thrill seeker who can't walk away from someone in trouble. He can't walk past a crying child. He also can't walk past a fairground. He is a thrill seeker. I think there is when he forms a friendship, a very strong friendship. He's very good at making friends with people, the right people, and that always changes him a bit. They all leave their mark on him emotionally, even though by his standards he knows them for what would be in our terms about an afternoon. He spends all that time with Amy and Rory, but it's not very long for him. They're gone. They're gone in the blink of an eye.
Literally.
Yeah, yeah. In the case of Amy, poor Amy, yes, she was. And I always have a theory that it costs him more than it costs them, because they have to get on with their lives. That line actually appears in Joy to the World. He does know at a certain point he's got to step away and let them go and have a proper life, as opposed to running around getting shot at in tunnels. They have to go and do that. But I think it costs him more. I think he finds it really very hard, to persuade himself to let go and let them get on with it.
Fun fact. Watched The Angels Take Manhattan. Very obsessed with it. Went on my engagement trip. My husband didn't know it was an engagement trip. My husband says, "We're going to New York. What do you want to do?" And I said, "The only thing I want to do is find the rock that Amy and Rory and the doctor sat on in Central Park." I did not, but I did find a rock.
Oh, it's quite easy.
Yeah.
I mean, I could have pointed it out to you. It's quite near the edge of the park, actually.
But I did wait for the Statue of Liberty to come alive, and that didn't happen either. So you know what?
No.
It is what it is.
You wouldn't know if it had. Gotta remember that.
Now, this special puts you in the unique position of being the first person to write a special, Christmas special, not as the showrunner. So how was that for you?
Well, it was fine. I mean, it doesn't, maybe not as strange as it perhaps should have been. I'd already, I'd already done Boom as the ex-showrunner. They kind of, I come in and exec for a while I'm doing that, so to make the blow less strange. But the truth is, I remember those days back when I was writing for Russell and Julie and Phil back in the day, for David and for Chris. I remember that, so it's like slotting back into that job. So it wasn't too bad. It was lovely. It was completely lovely. Had it been a completely new team, I probably wouldn't have done it, because I'd have felt like some sort of ancient artifact. But since they're all ancient artifacts too, I fitted right in. And as for doing the Christmas one, well, it was a strange one. I couldn't say no to it. I couldn't turn it down. Boom hadn't even started filming, and I was away with my wife and my son because we were away for his 21st birthday, and the email came through. Could you take over on Christmas? Because I've got to get on to season 2. Russell tries to play that down. I'm telling you, the reason I'm doing Christmas is he was looking at his schedule saying, "Oh, dear God, I've got to get on to season 2. Steven, please." And that was it. He's trying to make this sound like a marvelous recruitment. And we got Moffat back.
It does. It gets the headlines.
Get round here, I'm in trouble.
Did you feel a sense of freedom in the fact that you all already have this established rapport? You've done this before. Did you feel kind of just like, oh, you know what? I know I can do this, so I'm just going to do the thing and make it great.
Well, I would flatter myself, some people would, I'm sure, strongly disagree, but that I know how to write Doctor Who. I've written an awful lot of them. So I kind of know the score. I know what you got to do. And so it's familiar to me. It's always challenging, that show. That show is always hard work, far harder work than the people coming into the show for the first time ever realize it's going to be. But I know it's going to be hard. I always know it's going to be tough. The truth is, I'm really good friends with Russell and Julie and Phil. These are friends of mine. We never lost touch while I was running it. It was we always chatted away. So it's just not that hard to go back to it. As I say, had it been an entirely new bunch, I probably couldn't have. Because I'd have wandered around the place constantly forgetting that I wasn't in charge. I did that anyway. I kept forgetting. No, it's not me, is it? No, all right. We had a meeting about Boom, and then they were going to go and do a meeting about the monster in the Space Babies episode, and I just wandered along to the meeting and threw in my my few cents worth, and suddenly realised about halfway through, I'm not even supposed to be here. I don't do this. It's not my episode. But they were quite happy to let me, so it was all right.
Well, you lead me nicely to the question I was going to ask, which was just how has it been? This is the second time now you've written the scripts for the new era, for the 15th Doctor. But instead I'll kind of go a bit deeper. You're writing for a new Doctor entirely. I think once you kind of got your very much got into the groove immediately with 11 and 12's era. So sometimes it kind of feels like, okay, yeah, these all feel, I imagine, just like riding a bike. It's just like, yeah, this is almost same old. But with 15, you're coming in with a whole new Doctor, a whole new actor's energy. Mind you, written by another person as well. How was that approaching a brand new Doctor compared to your time with Matt and Peter?
Well, as I said earlier, I think one of the really important things you got to remember with the Doctor is it's the same person. That's the most important thing you're selling to the audience. Not that it's a new Doctor, an all new Doctor. What you're actually saying is if you look hard, you'll notice he's the same person, and the same person that you've always known. If you fail to do that, people will stop watching, right? They have to know that the other one didn't just disappear or die. They have to know, no, that's actually him, the real him, the one and only. So you've got to sell that. The truth is, an awful lot of what you write in Doctor Who, of the Doctor himself, is the same Doctor to Doctor. The moment the situation gets serious, which, let's be honest, is pretty quickly in Doctor Who, he's back to being the old monster. I was right. The ancient beast now surfaces, and he's just, he's been really charming and daffy and lovely. Then the monster attacks. It's like everybody does exactly what I tell them. And I will fight to the last breath to save your life. But if you drop dead, I will step over your body and save the next one. He's got that. Somewhere inside them all is John Hurt, the War Doctor. The guy. I always thought with John Hurt's Doctor, he just didn't bother hiding it. He's just, I'm just in the thick of battle, and I take it seriously. So quite a lot of it is the same, just out of somebody else's mouth. There are one or two some of the flourishes change from Doctor to Doctor. I think Terrance Dicks said this many, many years ago. So in the first 5 minutes of the episode, they maybe talk in a slightly different way. They make slightly different jokes. You might use a different bit of terminology, but for the most part, and really importantly, the Doctor is the Doctor, and he's relatively consistent throughout the series.
Did you? I mean, you kind of snuck in the odd little callback to your previous era in the Boom episode.
Yes, rather too many, I think.
Well, we called it and we loved it. There's no arguments there. But with Joy to the World, can we expect the odd Easter egg or reference to back in the day?
I mean, I do it so instinctively that I don't think about it. I mean, I remember thinking of starting on Boom. I thought, I better not do any callbacks because it's a new era. I didn't really notice how many I'd done till it was broadcast. And I'm sitting there thinking, dear God, it's a tribute to me. What am I doing? So you kind of do it. I don't think there's that many, but oh, dear God, I'll find out on Christmas Day when I'm watching it through fresh eyes and thinking, I've done it again.
But let's talk about Joy. Can you tell us a little bit about the newest addition to the Whoniverse?
The Whoniverse. Joy, well, as you'll get to know her, she's someone who's not having the best time. She's actually, when you first meet her, deeply sad. But like a lot of deeply sad people in real life, you can tell she's sad by the amount she smiles, which is too much. Right, so things have not gone that well. She's suffering some degree of pain, but she's covering it up. At one point, the Doctor says, "Look at your smile; it's like the lid on a boiling pot." She's got stuff going on in her life that's not great, and she's about to meet the Doctor, and who, of course, will in some way or other change everything. But you'll have to wait and see how that works out.
Oh, gosh.
Can you tell us a little bit about where the inspiration for her character came from?
No, God, no. You see, because we made Doctor Who so far in advance now, I can't remember. I mean, you always want somebody who catches the Doctor's attention is interesting to me. He walks past a lot of people. He tries to save them. He tries to be polite. He makes jokes, walks back to the police box, closes the door, and forgets all about them. Right, that's the truth. That's what the Doctor's like. He transits through your life at tremendous speed. Sometimes someone catches his attention, something unresolved about them, something odd about them. Could be a huge space mystery, as it sometimes is. Could just be, I don't know why you smile slightly too much. and all that. Just the thing that he said, I would like to know that. He's tremendously curious. And that's almost, that might be his single biggest and most consistent characteristic is he has to know. He always has to know. He has to find out if there's a mystery, if there's a locked door, he has to get through it. If someone's keeping a secret, he has to know what it is. He needs to know. And he can't run fast enough to know everything that he'd like to know. So there's an element, there's stuff to find out about Joy. And so I had a clear idea when I wrote her what sort of person we were dealing with and what sort of place in her life she was and why she was alone on Christmas Day. So I suppose that's a spoiler, but you know, it's fairly obvious from the pre-titles that you've already seen.
Well, I mean, Joy herself is played by the fabulous Nicola. Did you write the episode knowing that you wanted her to play? Like, were you involved in the casting process at all?
I did not write it with knowing that she was going to be the part, and I'm always involved in the casting process, yes. But I was not the one that suggested Nicola. I think it was probably Andy, our casting director, who's very, very brilliant, very, very sharp on finding the right person for a part, and also the right kind of profile. Because if you're going to be the co-star in the Doctor Who Christmas special, you need someone of size. You need someone that's significant. And, well, she certainly is. And she seemed to get more and more famous immediately after we did that. Russell kept emailing me saying she's doing this. She's doing great publicity for it. She's never off the screen. It's fantastic.
I wonder what was it like, because they already have an established rapport from Barbie, to see Nicola and Shooty together. I guess there was no rapport building necessarily to be done, so that kind of had to.
Do you know
have
the
an
worst
interesting
about
turn.
actors is if they'd never met before, if they'd met that morning, they could convincingly play lovers by the afternoon. I mean, that's what actors do. They can fake it. They can fake falling in love. They can fake friendship. They can fake anything. That's because they're good at what they do. As it happens, it's not so much the on-screen thing. I do believe that Nicola and Shooty are actually very good friends. So, and he was very pleased that we were casting her because it was someone that he knew for him to hang out with. So that was lovely.
And we saw a lot of new characters from the first look at SCCC and the trailer. Can you tell us about any of them, or is there one in particular that you're excited for fans to be introduced to?
Well, I think Anita, played by Steph, plays a fairly unique part in Doctor Who history. I think you'll enjoy her part. It's very unexpected. It's a part that we all fell in love with the performance and the idea of the character so much that it went from about 5 lines to a really significant part of the episode. So she's great. I think you'll love her. It's really weird because no one's seen it, and I'm just thinking, God, we made it over a year ago.
Yeah. You see, you're saying that from that point of view. We've just seen one of the other trailers, and we've just seen like a dinosaur, and we're like, "What's this dinosaur in it?" Okay, sick.
The dinosaur.
Now I've got lots to go off.
Dinosaur.
I hope the dinosaur has a name.
Well, you stop imposing your human values on dinosaurs. That's dinosaurist. Don't expect them to behave the way we do. What does a supersized Tyrannosaurus Rex want with the name? He's not socializing. He's not inviting you round. He's not going to tweet to you.
I'm getting the impression you're a big dinosaur fan, because as you say that, I'm running through the dinosaur episodes in my head, and I'm thinking, he's written a few dinosaurs.
Well, it's obviously one of the. Kids love dinosaurs. I'm always very aware of that. I'm always very aware. At some level, I'm writing a children's show. I know, but it is in its heart.
We can accept it.
Yeah. It's fine. It's fine not to grow out of children's stuff because, the way I always define Doctor Who is I say, look, it's like when you go to a fancy restaurant and you sadly get a glimpse of the children's menu and think, oh, I'd rather have any of that. And then you have to order a risotto or something immensely tedious and pretend you like it. And you want a salad with that? Yes? No, you don't. No one has ever wanted a salad with anything. You wanted egg and chips. So that's what I think Doctor Who is. It's the really good alternative to adult stuff.
Yeah, it's the chicken nuggets of
dinosaurs. I love dinosaurs, and I loved writing that first scene of Capaldi where he, in Deep Breath, was a giant dinosaur next to Big Ben, and it coughs up the TARDIS. I thought that's cool.
Anyway, we can go to dinosaurs all day. I think we need to now get into our Christmas quiz.
Me and Capaldi and Martin Gatiss, we were at a Doctor Who convention in Australia, and I saw they had a Doctor Who pub quiz going on. And I said, look, the three of us, let's go and join in the Doctor Who pub quiz, because we are bound to win, because we're all hardcore fans. We came third.
Oh, God.
Because I got 2 questions wrong based on episodes I'd exec and written.
Steven.
But I was brilliant on classic Doctor Who. Things made when I was 12. Oh, awesome. But anyway, come on, let's see if I've improved.
Steven, we're going to be quizzing you on all things Doctor Who at Christmas time. You've had your hand writing a few of them yourself, so I should hope that you've got some of these answers just ready to go. This might be a little embarrassing if not, but that's what we're here for. We're here for the fun.
Oh, dear. Let's go.
Now, first question. How many Christmas specials have "of the Doctor" in the title?
Well, there's Time of the Doctor, so that's 1. Are we counting Power of the Doctor as a Christmas special?
I wouldn't say so, no. I would say Power of the Doctor is a...
When did Power of the Doctor go out? No, like say it's nowhere near a Christmas special. So what am I talking about? I'm just used to the Doctor regenerating at Christmas. I think there's 1. I think just Time of the Doctor is the only one.
Steven Moffat, you are correct.
Oh, thank God for that.
It's 1, Time of the Doctor.
Yeah.
All right, well, next question. Which incarnation has had the most Christmas Day adventures so far?
Well, David does his Christmas invasion, and then he does... It must be David Tennant.
That is correct. David had 5, and that's not including End of Time Part 2, which obviously ran out on New Year's.
But he does peek out and say, "You're going to have a great year," and it lives in my head, the smile on his face. Now, A Christmas Carol featured the legendary Sir Michael Gambon. Can you name 3 other nights that have been in a main series Doctor Who episode?
Oh, God. If I say no, technically I'm correct because I'm telling the honest answer.
That is a great loophole.
Who else? What other nights?
I can give you a clue and say you've written for 2 of them.
Oh, no. Have I? Okay, I give in. What other nights?
We have John Hurt, who played the War Doctor.
Yeah.
Derek Jacobi, Professor Yana, the War Master, and Ian McKellen as the voice of the Great Intelligence.
But he was never billed as being in Doctor Who. You just knew he was in Doctor Who. He wasn't technically in it. He was always very insistent that he was not billed. But okay, fair enough.
Fair.
I didn't get any.
I'd give you that technicality, but regardless, you didn't get the other 2 as well.
Yeah, I didn't get John Hurt. I'd forgotten he was a knight. Of course he was. All right, carry on with my humiliation.
Right, well, I've got confidence in you in this one. You've mentioned before that Christmas episodes often feature a regeneration. How many Christmas specials have a regeneration occur during the episode?
Matt Smith regenerates during the Christmas episode. And Peter Capaldi regenerates during the Christmas episode. David is already revealed as regenerated in his, so I think it's just the 2. There's just 2 regenerations. There's technically 3 regenerations because David Bradley also kind of regenerates. The first Doctor regenerates, but that's within the same episode, so that's all right. I'm saying 2.
I want to say both ways it was you correct. Correct. 2, Time of the Doctor and Twice Upon a Time.
Yeah. Okay, good.
Next question.
All right.
In your era of Doctor Who, in which episode is Santa first mentioned?
In A Christmas Carol, he refers to knowing Santa Claus by his real name, Jeff.
It's actually, "Dear Santa, I'd like to talk to you about the crack in my wall."
Oh, so it is.
Young Amy Pond.
Young Amy Pond, she writes a letter to Santa. She does. I got that wrong. There we go.
Yes. But you know what's great is it all ties back into that continuing theme of the Doctor comes when a child cries, just like the star whales.
Yeah, always does. That's his, cannot walk past a crying child. That's his motivation.
Right, as I ask you this next question, I want to preface this by saying this is a very mean question. I'll be impressed. I'll be very impressed if you got it. But I'm gonna I'll have some faith in you, and I'll see if we can allow for technicality and how close you get. There you go. How many times is the word Christmas said in your premiere festive special, A Christmas Carol?
I haven't the faintest idea. I do not know. How would I know that? Wouldn't it be alarming if I knew?
That's going to
I
be the
haven't
funny thing you figured out.
memorized it. Christmas. I would say he talks about being Christmas. He said it happens before the title sequence. He says, "It's Christmas," says Amy Pond. Later on, the Doctor says, "We've got to sort this guy out before Christmas Day." Then he says, "Merry Christmas, Mr. Sardic," as he walks out. And he says something about Christmas at the end to Amy and Rory. I'm going to say 4.
Oof. Now, Stephen, in my head, I was gonna have so much sympathy and say if you got in the ballpark area, I would have batted for you and said give him the point. Unfortunately, the answer is 60.
What? Really? What the hell?
I had no
know.
idea.
Amy.
Didn't know it either. So we're all on even footing here. Let's be.
Oh my lord.
Oh.
So surprising there was room for anything else in the episode.
And that's the end of our Doctor Who Christmas quiz. Stephen, you did pretty well, I would say. I'm not going to lie, there were some hard questions thrown in there. You got a respectable 3 out of 6, 50%.
Not very good, but there we go. If it was a classic episode, I would do better than I would do on the ones that I actually made. I don't ever count as real Doctor Who anything I actually contributed to at best. Strange truth. Not important like the other episodes.
So we'll remember that.
Hey, I've
time.
never met a showrunner who wasn't important before.
Yeah, you've never met but showrunners who weren't important.
Well, that was exceptionally fun for us. And now we are going to move into our next form of a quiz, which is called Who Said That?
Okay.
So let me tell you a little bit about how this game works. We are playing Who Said That? You're going to name the line, and you get 1 point if you can name the character, and you get a bonus point if you can name the episode. We're going to be keeping a leaderboard and seeing who has the sharpest ear for all things Who.
All right, Stephen, are we ready to do this?
No, but go ahead.
All right, listen closely. Here is your first moment.
Don't worry, Fat Fella will be doing the rounds later. I'm just scoping out the general chimneyness. Yes.
That's Matt Smith's Doctor in A Christmas Carol.
That is correct.
Ooh, all right. Number 2.
Little Amelia Pond, waiting for her magic doctor to return. But not this time, Amelia.
Oh dear, that sounds like one of mine, doesn't it? Oh no, I'm not getting that.
I am happy to offer a clue.
Okay.
This is an Academy Award-winning actress.
Oh, hang on, it's Olivia Colman in The 11th Hour. Olivia Colman as the mother of the 2 kids. Yes.
That is
there we
correct.
go.
All right, good job. Next one, I will have to warn you and say they get somewhat harder from here, but I believe in you. Here we go.
Doctor, face me. Doctor, can you hear me? Get out of that TARDIS and face me, boy.
Oh, that's Ohyla in Hellbent. I remember that very
Impressive work. No, great job. Great job.
done.
Stumped a few people.
well. Oh, I'll never forget. Face me, boy.
All right. Next clue.
You cannot do this. You will not leave this planet alive.
Well, there's a plot point that covers more or less everything. The planet alive. Come on, maybe. No, I can't. I'm sorry. I can't get that one. Oh, no.
It's Rafondo, Ivana Jeremiah in Extremis.
Ah, yes, The Executioner. Yeah. Yeah. I watched that quite recently, so I don't know why I didn't get it.
I will admit that was a very hard one. All right, we're bringing it home. Number 5, final one. Let's go.
You know this is all just a story, don't you? You know there's no such thing as stars.
Now that's in what's it called? The Big Bang, and it's either Little Amelia's therapist or Little Amelia's aunt, and I can't remember which of them said that line. I think it's the therapist.
Well, I can say that was Krystine, who was the therapist when the stars were going out. Well, gone out.
Okay, good. There we go. Phew, got something.
You did really good on that one. You only missed one.
I missed one. Yeah, I got 4 out of 5. That's not bad. Someone's going to get 5 out of 5.
But you got the questions, you got the answers, and you got the bonus points because you named the episodes too.
Good. Poor old extremists. How could I forget that? Just like,
you've written a
you
lot
will
of
not
TV.
leave this planet alive sounds like any episode of
Every
Doctor.
villain ever.
Well, at the end of our round, we find ourselves with Steven Moffat at the top of our leaderboard with 8 out of 10 possible points.
Very well done. Impressive. Honestly, they got harder and harder as they went on. I got worried. So good job. Well, now, Steven, we're going to be teasing the upcoming episode, Joy to the World. Now, you wrote the amazing script, as I'm sure it will be. Can you tease us with 3 words from the script to whet our appetite before we watch the episode?
Well, how about Satnav, Caesar, and Bloch, which I believe have never appeared in the same sentence in all of human history. So, here we are.
It's the first time for everything. Well, Steven, thank you so much for joining us on the podcast, on the official Doctor Who podcast. It's been amazing having you. Well done on the quizzes. I'm sorry they were so difficult. Wasn't my choice, but it's very fun to look back. And generally, welcome back to the Whoniverse. I'm sure this has been said to you many times since Boom, but it's a pleasure, and I'm excited to see Joy to the World and see more from you.
Well, I hope you enjoy it.
Thank you so much, Steven. So we just talked to Steven Moffat for real, in real life. That was fantastic. And let's tell the people where they can find the Christmas special on Christmas Day.
Yes, in the UK, you're watching it on BBC and BBC iPlayer.
And on Disney Plus, where available. Thank you all so much for tuning in. And I guess there's nothing left to say, but bye.
Don't forget to click below to subscribe to the official Doctor Who YouTube channel.